That information came straight from Meghan's ex-husband, Trevor Engelson, through a middleman. And of course, Trevor Engelson is a very successful producer and TV host. Sorry, but he has a family of his own now. He's glad he hasn't said anything on the record. Meghan Markle is apparently very angry behind walls that are the size of pallets. This is because her ex-husband Trevor Engelson broke a 10-year silence and revealed what many are calling the real Meghan. People close to the Duchess say she's doing everything she can to fix the damage, including yelling, threatening legal action, and blaming her team for not burying the story before it broke. For a woman who is obsessed with controlling her image, Trevor's brutally honest revelations have shattered the carefully polished mirror she spent years holding up to the world, according to sources inside the Montecito mansion.
Meghan Markle married for money, that she planned it all from the beginning, and the vision board with Prince Harry on it was revealed to her by someone who knew Trevor Engelson.
After reading the statements from Trevor's interview, Meghan Markle got quite angry. People who saw her said she burst into a private meeting, shut the door behind her, and started yelling at her press team, saying they hadn't done enough to keep the news from getting out. She was screaming that they had assured her that Trevor would be taken care of. One staff member alleged that Meghan yelled that he should never be able to speak again. How did this get out? People who were there said that the situation got so bad that some staff members quietly left the room for Meghan. Not only was this treachery, it was also exposure. Meghan's lawyers were already on the offensive by noon. Several news organizations are said to have gotten cease and desist letters.
Narcissist who cannot get enough of herself while she simultaneously plays the victim. My castle's too small. Yeah. The queen is mean to me. They won't let me call myself Her Royal Highness anymore, but I'm going to put it all over my stationery and on the gifts that I give to my friends, while she never stops whining. And at the same time, I'm getting all worked up. I'm a foul.
Telling them not to publish Trevor's words again. Meghan is said to have told her attorneys to write a gag order, even though Trevor never signed a non-disclosure agreement when they got divorced. Lawyers say her response is telling. She would have confidently disputed the statements if they weren't true, but this reaction suggests that she is scared. She is scared of what else he might say. Everyone knows that Meghan is obsessed with her image, and this interview has definitely broken through her thin public armor. Meghan is said to think she's being attacked, not just by Trevor, which is typical of her.
Important. She married for money. It's very clear. She bagged the elephant. She was thrilled. She became a, quote, princess.
Well, you can...
It was planned from the beginning. She denied being interested in the royal family, which she totally was. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it.
Before they met?
Yes. And she wants to
That's
pretend.
impressive. You got to admit that is impressive.
She nailed it.
But sources close to the Duchess say she told a confidant that she thinks royal insiders set up Trevor's interview to hurt her brand before her next public project launch. She's obsessed with the idea that the royals are still trying to ruin her. One friend said she sees Trevor's silence breaking as proof of a larger conspiracy. But some people feel this is just Meghan playing the victim again, when the actual problem is that her past is catching up with her.
Meghan Markle did plan this, but what is new in terms of Megyn Kelly's revelation is that it is Trevor Engelson, via an intermediary, who has revealed this story, this existence of the mood board featuring Prince Harry. And let's just remember for a moment, Megyn Kelly is one of the world's greatest independent journalists.
Meghan has canceled a number of planned events, including a women's business summit in Los Angeles and a charity Q&A session in New York. This is a very surprising action. PR. Many close to her believe she isn't stable enough emotionally to be on stage right now. She knows the first question from the press will be about Trevor, but she hasn't thought of an answer yet. This retreat has just made people think worse of it. People who don't like the idea say that a woman who has nothing to hide would face the topic head on. Instead,
used Diana's favorite perfume. So when they met for the first time, gosh, he couldn't believe it. He thought he'd come from heaven. And I think that all this phoniness is going to drop from her bit by bit because people are so fed up.
People have seen Meghan's silence as a sign of guilt, not grace. A former employee says that Meghan has a separate part of the estate that she calls the rage room and goes there when she is stressed out. This is one of the strangest reports. People say it's soundproof and set up so that she can shout, toss things, and cry without anybody hearing her. Meghan is said to have broken 2 vases and kicked over a lamp this week alone because she was so angry that her name was trending on Twitter under hashtags like hashtag Trevor tells all and hashtag Meghan exposed, whether the room truly exists or not. Insiders say that Meghan is falling apart quickly while Meghan has been going off behind closed doors. A lot
warnings can you receive? I mean, we obviously know via Tom Bauer that Meghan Markle returned her engagement ring to Trevor Engelson via the post. But the fact that you're actually so blatant in terms of the fact that you want this famous royal, and specifically you want Prince Harry, because you know my reporting on Meghan Markle's early life in London, Angela, made it very clear that she was looking for a celebrity.
What Prince Harry has said is not loud, but important. People close to Harry say he is clearly rattled by the criticism and very humiliated by what Trevor said. Sources say that Harry has been spending more time away from Meghan in the last few weeks, hiding out in secret areas of their Montecito estate to avoid the stress. He doesn't want to protect her anymore. One source stated that every time he thinks the storm is gone, something new comes up, and this time it's something from her history that he can't control. There are also reports that Harry has told Meghan to quit blaming the palace for everything.
He studied him. Now, if you do study him carefully, you can see he's very vulnerable, and you can see that he's yearning to get married. He told me that he really wanted children, but the time hasn't come yet, but he really wants to be a father because he loves being with children.
Meghan has become a voice for women's empowerment, mental health, and authenticity since leaving the royal family. However, Trevor's tell-all has made people rethink everything he said about her. He painted a picture of someone who was emotionally unavailable, calculated, and obsessed with fame, which is very different from the victim narrative Meghan has been pushing. Social media has exploded with reactions, with thousands of people saying they now see the red flags they ignored before.
They had a meeting. They were off there to look at the stars. And, all that was very carefully done. And it proves that we're not wrong to not believe almost everything she says.
Even people who have been fans of Meghan for a long time are starting to wonder how much of her public persona is fake. People are now looking at her podcasts, interviews, and documentaries in a new, more critical way, and her credibility is quickly fading. If Meghan believes this is ended, she should get ready, because people close to Trevor say he isn't done talking. People who know him say he didn't talk about the darkest moments of their marriage out of respect, but he is thinking about writing a memoir or doing a second interview to clear things up. A buddy of Trevor's stated he sat quiet for years while she changed the past. Now it's his turn, and he has proof that this has made Meghan's legal team work harder than ever.
Before Meghan Markle ever went public with her vision boards. But do you remember recently, Angela, Meghan Markle actually posted a vision board on Instagram. So this is absolutely the type of thing she uses.
Yes, she likes that, doesn't she? And you went through all the details of it.
There are claims that they are trying to stop future appearances and press deals, but unless there is a formal NDA, there isn't much they can do. One of the most shocking changes has been the huge change in how the public sees Meghan. She used to get a lot of support as a modern outspoken outsider, but now there is a lot of doubt and even hate, as seen in hashtags like hashtag Trevor told the truth and hashtag Meghan manipulated me is trending around the world. Thousands of people are congratulating Trevor for being mature and holding back. A lot of people think that his quiet dignity says more than Meghan's Netflix documentary ever did. As one tweet that went viral said,
"You saw it up there, it was going to happen. And so that's why she would do all that. But isn't it awful? It's just too awful for words." And I think that there we are. And what she would do is actually to keep Harry jumping about something like that.
Trevor Engelson, Meghan Markle's ex-husband and the man who once stood beside her in the quiet years before she became a global figure, has finally broken his silence, and what he revealed is shaking the foundation of Meghan's carefully constructed narrative. For over a decade, Trevor remained out of the spotlight, refusing to engage with tabloids or royal gossip. His silence wasn't about loyalty, it was about class. He didn't need to drag their past into public view. He didn't want to sensationalize their relationship or weaponize old wounds. But now he's speaking up, and this isn't just another celebrity tell-all. It's not revenge journalism. It's not palace politics dressed as personal drama. This is something far more damaging, truth from someone who knew her best before the world even knew her name. Because while Meghan has spent years selling a story of being misunderstood, mistreated, and maligned by the press and monarchy alike, Trevor's version doesn't match that script. His account doesn't come from anonymous sources or palace insiders. It comes from shared history, from private moments, from life together before cameras followed her every move. That kind of testimony carries weight. because it's not speculation, it's lived experience. And suddenly, Meghan's brand built on curated vulnerability, emotional storytelling, and selective memory starts to look less like empowerment and more like manipulation. Because if the man who loved her before she met Harry says otherwise, if he paints a picture that contradicts the victimhood, the pain, the betrayal, then maybe we've all been sold a myth. And that's where the unraveling begins. Meghan's silence, which once felt strategic, almost regal, now feels suspicious. Her legal threats, once seen as bold moves in defense of privacy, now feel desperate. And her image, once polished to perfection across Netflix, Instagram, and late-night interviews, is now falling apart at the seams. Trevor didn't just expose one incident. He opened the door for others to follow. And the real danger for Meghan isn't just what Trevor said, it's what he didn't say yet still implied. Because when someone who once stood closest to you no longer recognizes the person you've become, the world starts questioning how much of that transformation was authentic or manufactured.
Difficult if you've got someone who is changing their mood all the time, changing what they're putting up on the board. So you might be there one day, you might not be the next. It's very disturbing. And he's a very vulnerable person, and she's taken 100% of that.
What Trevor Engelson has revealed about Meghan Markle isn't just a footnote in her personal history, it's a revelation that challenges the entire foundation of her public image. For years we were sold one version of Meghan, the empowered duchess, the silenced victim, the misunderstood outsider fighting for independence and dignity. It was a narrative built on emotional storytelling, carefully curated interviews, and a sense of betrayal that stretched from Hollywood to the monarchy. But now, someone who knew her before the titles, before the cameras, before the chaos stepped forward and told a different story. Trevor didn't speak out of spite or vendetta. He spoke after years of silence, not to destroy but to clarify. And what he described doesn't fit the fairy tale. It suggests something far less flattering, a pattern of manipulation, strategic reinvention, and yes, even emotional abandonment. That's not just gossip, it's context, and it changes everything. Because Meghan may have risen to global recognition through a mix of charm, timing, and opportunity, but what Trevor is shedding light on is how much of that rise came at the expense of others. How many relationships were reshaped to fit a better headline? How many people were pushed aside when they no longer served the brand? And here's the real danger for Meghan. If Trevor was willing to stay silent for so long, what else are other former friends, colleagues, or loved ones keeping to themselves? Public patience with the Sussexes is already wearing thin. The Netflix deal collapsed. The Spotify podcast fizzled. Charities are distancing. Media outlets are pulling back. Fans are going quiet. And now, with Trevor's account hitting the airwaves, not as rumor, not as palace propaganda, but as first-hand testimony from someone who once stood closest to her, Meghan's carefully constructed story is starting to crack. She can no longer control the narrative by deleting posts, scrubbing social media, or launching legal threats into the void. Because this isn't about a headline, this is about credibility. And once that slips, it's nearly impossible to reclaim. So if you've been following Meghan's journey and always felt like something didn't quite add up, you're not alone. Trevor's truth is only the beginning. More voices are likely coming forward. More gaps in the story will be filled. And soon, Meghan may find herself in uncharted territory, not just questioned, but doubted. Because while she spent years crafting an image of resilience and authenticity, the people who lived beside her before the spotlight may hold the pieces that don't fit the puzzle. Ask yourself, how many more truths have been buried beneath the headlines? How many relationships were discarded to build the illusion of transformation? How many people were erased from the script to make room for the fairy tale? Trevor finally spoke. Who's next? If you want the full breakdowns, unreleased testimonies, and upcoming fallout from this explosive saga, hit subscribe, because this isn't just royal drama, it's a reckoning.